today's really cool because, as usual, you're like, what am I going to do today, God? And, here it is. Today is about integration and honoring the integration that's happening within yourself, because you're connected to the source, all that is, connected to something more, something you might be feeling inside of yourself, something you might be sensing, something that that you can't necessarily explain. That's happening inside of you is basically a connection that is building. It's kind of like a little spark of light or a little fire that starts to burn inside of you that just gets bigger and bigger. And as it gets bigger, it has a tendency of pushing all the toxic shit out, right? And, we tell people to trust the process, and, understanding how this process actually works really fucking helps, dude. So that way you're not manic and freaking out, that you have a more stable, grounded approach towards, your rite of passage, basically, to get back to the one, to the source, to the creator, to be more successful, to be connected to God and all that is. You know what I'm saying? It starts with a spark inside of each and every one of us, and an awareness, right? That we realize that there's something more that we can't explain, that actually becomes a curiosity over time, and it becomes a subconscious seeking till it becomes a conscious seeking, or an unconscious seeking becomes a conscious seeking, and that's the beauty of discovery and the curiosity that we, even as children, had a very long time ago, and this returning to that part of ourselves, the inner child, understanding that the inner child is not the inner child, it's actually the inner you, it's the innocence, it's the thing that was violated before, it was the thing that wasn't violated before ego, it was before that last heart hit, before that first heart hit that you ever had, or before that first knock over the head with life. Some of us are returning to these spaces only to bring that to the present, to bring it once more, is what Spirit is saying, and understanding that where we block ourselves off and we open up, there is a certain amount of maturity that needs to be had there in order for you to bring yourself and put yourself in the present moment, right? Because now you realize that you left a piece of yourself somewhere long ago, and it's time to reintegrate these things, and all of these things have been activated inside of us in one way or another, helping us realize that we're supposed to be talking to ourselves right now. You know what I'm saying? In a profound way, because something's telling us something, whether it's something that's manifesting in our body. It could be, wanting to go visit the doctor, or it could be, maybe even getting your head examined for whatever the fuck reason. You know what I'm saying? These things happen to people, or some of us just like to take it on and internalize everything and end up in a trap anyway, only to have to somehow relieve ourselves from that space because now we've gone too far. And I believe that's a vicious cycle that we call it here, where we come to understand that we are the direct responsees of the responders if we want to act out when it comes to other people and our decisions and our people, places, and things that we're emotionally validating or valuating somehow, because our precious energy is actually feeding the experience that we're having. And a lot of people, the way that they're explaining it is that when you cut situations off in your life, you get to see the truth of what it is for yourself, because now that you've cut off that energy and taken a stand back from that energy, you actually get to see the truth of what's going on. And we don't even realize what divine separation all about is. It's an actual natural thing that happens to us when we decide to disconnect from energy that no longer serves us. But we realize in that moment that we have to make that choice for ourselves in order to embrace the experience or whatever result is from making that decision in our lives. And we should be more proud, is what Spirit is saying, because unconscious creators have no resolve, but yet here we are with resolve, and that's what we're promoting here, is resolve. By proving to people that groundedness is a thing, and it's a spiritual thing, and it's an honorable thing, and it's the thing, when it comes to the times that they're pointing towards the future. You know what I'm saying? The times that we're getting into. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are headed for different timelines. Some of us are headed for different people, places, and things. Some of us are destined, and our futures are they're not necessarily associated or interconnected, but we're all on a journey. We're all in different places. We're all on different timelines. We're all experiencing the same shit at the same time, and everything's happening on different levels, and that's why we can explain what we explain here. to other people to help them understand the simplicity of how our mind, our body, our spirit are all aligned. And when they're in misalignment, it creates unnecessary chaos in our lives and misunderstanding. And miscommunication is what I have to add here, because Spirit said so. We have to honor those things within ourselves, because we are feeling something that is calling to us in these moments, right? To help us realize that we don't have to do these things anymore, that we don't necessarily have to resonate at this level, that you've gone down somewhere where you don't belong and you need to pull yourself back, but not from a place of fear. It's from a place of understanding exactly what the fuck is happening in your life, dude, that nobody's been able to explain until now, right? And here we are. And I think it's a profound thing that we simplify the complexity. I used to say it, I used to speak it long ago, simplify complexity in your life. And then I realized that it was an orchestration that I was going to be responsible for to help people evolve and learn and grow. Because I had to go through the good books, you know what I'm saying? I had to go through the depths, and I had to dive deep within myself to find myself. And also, while I found myself, I found the reasons why many other people suffered the way I do and the way others do. Which is really insightful when we want to do that type of work, where we're willing to deep dive into the past to discover ourselves and what our purpose is here. I think it's a very profound decision for us as adults that may even feel like children to make in our lives and invest in ourselves in a way that hasn't happened before, because we're tired of the same shit. Or we're tired of struggle, we're tired of strife, we're tired of discontent, we're tired of being taken advantage of and treated like slaves. And that's the God honest truth. Because, a lot of us are born with a slave mentality, not even realizing that we've been conditioned to be this way for thousands of years. And that's when you really kind of like put the pencil down and be like, wait a minute, what the fuck did he just say? Why is my life this way? Does he really know what's going on? Well, it's not whether I know, it's whether you know it or not. It's not for me to discern. It's for us to learn how to do those things for ourselves, including yourself, sir, whoever you may be in here. And I think that's important for us to understand, because this is beyond ego. This is understanding. This is working with the inner world and not the outer world. This is not based on physicality. This is based on sensitivity and understanding oneself and what is happening within that orchestration of flow and fluidity. So for those who challenge, please understand that this is not the place for challenges. You are being challenged only to realize that you need to rise above whatever it is that has befuddled you. So, to whom it may concern in that space, much love to you, and thank you for being here. And we say these things for a reason, and it's important for us to trust those things, and not necessarily understand that we're in a space where we're being combated or defeated somehow or looked under or after, when in reality we are none of those things. We are not here for those things. We're here to serve you and others. We are here to serve others for you, to you, be you. This is spirit talking. This isn't fucking Joe Schmo on the fucking screen, just pouring his heart out in a sense, about his fucking opinion, because I don't have one. I don't. And it's a beautiful thing not to have an opinion, because even opinions have weight to them, and I'd rather not walk with it. It's so taxing on the body. We don't even realize the diseases and the unnecessary energetic pressure that we create for ourselves that actually manifest physically. Physical pain, joints feeling like they're crushed, the pressure in the back of your neck or in the back of your head that you can't explain. You go see a doctor and nobody knows what's wrong with you, and you're all stressed out, not realizing that there's all this mental pressure that is blocking the heart cavity from actually embracing change or feeling something outside of the hate or the anger or the discontent or the cortisol or the frustration that's going on when we're in those type of vibrations. Everything's a frequency, man. Everything is vibration. All is sound. The universe is completely made of frequency. And when you learn how to tap into those divine frequencies, you start realizing things about yourself, and you learn and grow instead of hating one another. Here we are, wherever you are. Thank you for being here once again. Because it's the compassion that pushes past. If you're still listening, it's the compassion that we have for one another and the understanding of the divine flow that allows us to push past these things and understand that, yeah, we had an opinion, or we were in the wrong, or maybe there's a flaw that's perceived here, maybe I feel like I'm insignificant somehow, or there's no significance to this statement. And that is the very denial and ignorance that we face within ourselves on a daily basis, not realizing that we're the ones conning ourselves into believing shit. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Dawn. How you doing, lady? How are you, miss? You've changed. Salah. That's what's up. That's why we come on here. That's why we do what we do. That's why we show compassion in this space. That's why we open our hearts to people that don't open hearts to themselves, and they don't understand that the ego is triggered in those moments because it doesn't want to open the heart, and you had a moment of clarity. Boom! I don't know how else to say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, but some of us need to recognize that complexity is there for a reason. It's there to challenge us and see how intelligent and how much we have grown, because then life would be boring if we didn't have challenges, right? So you are welcome, ma'am. It's even though the most lucrative aspect of helping people and coming on here and doing what we do is to see the byproduct of what's actually happened to people who pay attention to the space and get help, or want to engage in the service space, or contact us and have sessions with us, is that it doesn't matter whether or not, if you're actually paying attention, you are changing in every moment that you perceive these messages, that you see us on live, that you listen to our videos. If you're paying attention, these things have a significant way of changing people's lives. Not necessarily from a codependent space, because some people just want the energy, that they don't realize that that's no longer an ability. They have to work for it. They have to earn their own in this space. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we all have to understand respectfully, is that how do we feed our energy to others and others feed their energy to us? So it's a pleasure to be in this space and be able to bring this knowledge, wisdom, and experiences and the teachings that have been taught to me to help everyone else, because I'm a very, very compassionate person. And I don't want to, I don't necessarily, I'm doing what I love to do. I guess it's the best way that I could say that. And when you love what you do it effortlessly, and you do it to the best possible ability that you can, and you do it honestly and authentically. And in those moments that you do those things, you're in commune with the one. You're in agreement. You're in agreeance of yourself and the connection that you have to the all. That is, right? It's not a fallacy, fam. You have these gifts for a reason, Let's not take this for granted and just assume that we're this. This is the doorway that you've been given to discover more. You know what I'm saying? We have to get rid of this possibility, or this kind of like brass tacks observance of the fact that we cannot fix stupid, because stupid is what we used to be. So we need to stop telling ourselves and being ignorant to the fact that that's an impossibility, when you realize that the impossible is possible. I fix stupid, and I know that because I fixed it within myself. And I promise you I will do the same for each and every one of you. And I will not lead you astray. It's just that simple. I don't know how else to say it, except for simply this way, is that I'm here to help. And I love helping, And it's one of those, if you're really interested in the services that we provide, or understanding more about connection, growth, the spiritual understanding of yourself, and all those beautiful things that we discover along the way that some of us we have actually shared with you, you realize that you can do this too in your own beautiful, unique way, and embrace a peace like no other, because it's a divine way, right? Because your sovereignty is key, is what Spirit is saying, and believing is kind of like 9/10 of the law, if not 99/10 of it, or percent, whichever way you want to look at that. Conflict is in everyone, but sometimes we don't realize that we've accepted conflict as just a way of life. And spirituality teaches us, or the spiritual self will help us know that it's not that way, and this is why we have these programs and these services, but for those of you who are kind of gung-ho and you're still not sure if you want to reach out or not, we have this service called it's called your right to presence. It's about the spiritual understanding of yourself and working on your lower Dantian system, your lower chakras, understanding the sacrum, the sacral chakra, how these lower chakras function, and how to connect them to the earth in a very proper fashion. This is a divinely led session, and it teaches you grounding in a way like no other, because it actually starts, the more you plant yourself, the more the seed grows, the more you blossom, the more you enlighten, the more you become more clear, the more you master yourself. So this program is designed, and it's just one session every 2 weeks if you want to get into it, or you can get a single session, that way, about learning what groundedness actually is, learning what stability actually is, and then learning to maintain the clarity from the stability and the grounding that you have, to be able, in order to make profound change in a way that you haven't done that before, because there's a possibility that nothing else is really working, but you think you're getting far, spiritually, when in reality, then everything has changed from under you, right? So now we have to restabilize ourselves in a new energy, because it's important for us to understand that when that thing flew by, figure it out. When it flew by, it changed everything frequentially in this space, which will ripple forever somehow, And we have to consider the fact that everything is energy, and everything is frequency, and everything is vibration, like we were speaking of before. And now we have to consider the fact that all those frequencies have changed, and we're more mindful of the changes that we make. Is it, what I'm saying? Spirit asks, is it not obvious? Has the person that you see here before you changed? Once more, here we go. And it's important for us to see those things within ourselves, because this is the split. You know what I'm saying? This is something that is part of lore. Whether you're going to live the spiritual way or whether you're going to live the mechanistic way, you have a choice. And that's what we're being called to do. God over fame, or whatever the fuck that is. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing? What are we chasing? Where are we headed? What the fuck are we looking for? Profound reflections, bro. Simple questions, one at a time. We don't want to overthink, and we don't want to make it fucking complicated, but what do we want, really? Like, when we have the ability to access to promote justice in our lives, which the justice card is about balancing and keeping those things in balance. It's Libra energy, you know what I'm saying? It's also air, which requires thought, right? So you have these decisions to make, and you don't realize that these decisions have been presented for you for a long time, but it's been calling to you little by little, right? Every once in a while you get tripped up or troubled up or kind of like incinerated somehow and defeated, only to bounce back and be like, I'm here back once again. And you know what I'm saying? 6 months later, here we go, an eclipse comes by, and next thing you know, it rocks your world and you're in the shit again. Wait, what happened? What happened to me? Well, the honest answer is that you've settled. Because change is ever giving, ever loving, and ever constant. We are change. You change with every breath you make and every decision you take. you know, and that's their responsibility space. The spirit is like literally egging me on right now. They're like, that's the responsibility space. There's a choice in everything you make, you know. There's a choice on how you perceive things. There's a choice on how you want to see things. There's a choice on how you choose to see those things, right? But then we can choose freely, but are we choosing wisely? And that's something that this lower body, the lower Dantian, is about, that discernment space and really having a brass tacks perspective of what is happening in your life more consistently, so that way you don't get tripped up anymore. You know, that you never seen that, man, it's like, I wanted that, I just need a little, you know? And you're like, fuck, what is it that doesn't allow me to get there is the right question. Because then it allows you to know what's getting in your way. And you have to see, we have to be humble enough to accept that we might have a you problem if it's not a you problem, you know, a fact. But some of us can actually look at ourselves and understand that we're the problem, but it's not time for down talking ourselves when we realize that we're the trouble in our lives because we're holding on to more, you know. It's an opportunity for us to release that baggage and be like, oh shit, dude, he just showed me, you know. And don't worry about it. It'll try to get you. It'll follow you a little bit. But are you willing to make that decision to continue, or are you making that decision to settle? You know? And these are the things that we talk about in the mentorship space, and we assist people with their decision making and their discernment. And we're just wrapping it into a little bit of space here for people to enjoy a session twice a week. You know, twice a week is 14 days. That's half moon, that's the full moon and new moon. If you're kind of like interested in that cycle, you know what I'm saying? You can start there, and then you can see the profound changes for yourself with this service. All right, the proof is in the fucking pudding. You give me 30 days, it changed you completely. And a lot of people can already attest to the fact that we've changed them too, you know. So, you know, yeah, when you get sick and tired, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you do something about it, right? We all do. It's just that a lot of us have done it from survival, you know, not realizing that there's worth and gratitude in the very act itself. And that's why it's up for review. So you can move on. You know, I bet you didn't know that too, you know, because these things are fun to have these realizations, believe it or not, you know. And when you enter a sacred space, a lot of it at first is always fear and unconscious thinking. But the more grounded and stable you become, and the more work you do, you know, with these inner sessions, or possibly even a surrounding journey, you know, if you're interested in that, we can do that for you. You can learn these things in a way that it's smoother for you to understand, learn, and grow, and then you can incorporate it in your physical life, because groundedness is a birthright. Okay, we deserve to be connected to the Great Mother. That is our birthright. But the thing is that we've forgotten about our birthrights. And we are here to remind you of those birthrights, to help you, to empower you, to help you understand yourself, and from a place of self-control and discipline. Because it's more a discipline than a self-control. It's just the awareness that you need to have to maintain it. That you finally realize that you don't have to control anything, and you can surrender to the very divine activations that are flowing through you, that move you in ways that you've never been moved before. No, this isn't demonic possession, but this is a sacred space, and it's important to honor that sacred space when you're in it. And when we honor the sacred space once more, we realize that we have to change, and we want something different, and we want to learn and grow, and things don't look the same no more, and it doesn't have the brilliance that it did one more. It's not that shiny shit syndrome anymore, because you have the clarity over here that benefits you in that space. And it's a very beautiful aspect to understand, and a journey to encounter, not only from personal experience, but for yourself as well, because then you really get to the bottom of what really matters inside of you and how you create these things for yourself. And then when you take the mind and you empty it, you can actually turn the things that you put into that effort and in that space and turn them into matter and make them something tangible and of value, because you know that you're the one who created it, because you asked for it with an open heart and a commitment to yourself and a promise. I was talking to a client this morning about promises. I go, have you noticed that you always make a promise for everybody else, right? And you fulfill those promises because you're passionate about fulfilling promises and helping other people. And then I pointed out the fact that it's like you have all the skills to pour that into yourself. You just don't know it yet. Let me show you how. You know, because nothing's ever done in vain. You've heard my wife speak it. You've heard me say it. Nothing's ever done in vain. It's like when we end up in a codependent space, for example, we can help everybody else with an open heart, and we get defeated and we suffer and we have depressing moments for whatever reason that is, because we're taking on their shit, not knowing it, right? But we're missing the fact that it's in that loving of giving. It's in that heart space where we have the loving of giving that we are actually being given simultaneously. Where's the gratitude for that? Because where do you think the energy came from to make you feel that way, to compel you to do that thing in the first place? There's only one answer. God is the answer. It's the flow of life. It's you manifesting into existence those things. And when we have more self-control and self-awareness and self-understanding, we make these things a lot more pleasurable, and we understand things for what they really are versus what they aren't. You know, it's almost a question of who doesn't want that now. Because clarity is key here. Solomon asked for wisdom, you know, clarity and wisdom. Because once you have the clarity and the wisdom, you can move forward with knowing what the fuck you're dealing with and how to navigate those spaces, because you've been doing that your entire life. Figuring things out, adapting to things, moving around things, hiding things, internalizing things. You've done it all. You've put it away, you've packed it, you've shifted, you shipped it, you've flown it. You know what I'm saying? You created it, you've built it, you've boxed it. Pick one. You've done it all, right? And for this example with this client, I was like, dude, look at all the value that you didn't get to see because you weren't paying attention. Because you were more focused on the feeling of the giving, that it became an addictive behavior, not realizing that we're all creatures of addiction. And this is one of the reasons why I say this when I come on here. Surprise. You know, because we become addicted to feeling something, not realizing that it turns into something physical because we feel that way and we're manifesting. I'm addicted to feeling something, not realizing that it turns into something physical because we feel that way and we're manifesting it. And that's where that groundedness and that stability, an example of this with this presentation, allows you to better understand what the service provides for each and every one of you uniquely, where we focus on your groundedness and how to better ground you and how to reconnect with the Great Mother. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not done in one session, I promise you. But you will never leave without stability and groundedness in that very moment. That we promise you. Okay, thank you. It's not New Year yet. I celebrate New Year in the spring, like everybody else up in the cosmos. Yeah, I'm not from here. So, you know, with that being said, we understand ourselves better, and we understand the orchestration of why we do these things, and we allow ourselves to heal in a much more profound fashion. We allow ourselves to conduct business and work and play and family in a much more grounded and stable way, to where we're able to see the truth and be more compassionate, especially to those who are around us. You know, if we have kids and loved ones, you know, parents or whatever that we still, you know, we can just pour our hearts into ourselves and realize that that radiates onto everybody, and it's a very unselfish act. We don't have to follow the dopamine and basically help people to make ourselves feel better, when in actuality we know we're better, and now we're sharing it with others because we do better. And this is a profound example of what happens in that space. You know, for a lot of sessions, you guys have noticed that these are a lot of things that I personally learned and experienced myself. You know, we worked on this together, but I got my ass whooped first. Because there was a lot of things that we learn on this path. especially having, a responsibility like this. But that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is you and how much you're willing to invest in yourself in these moments of realization and revelation that are happening right now. This is not a manipulation. This is asking you to choose. You decide whether it's God or AI. You know what I'm saying? Do you want to continue living a mechanistic life, feeling like belief is intangible? There's no foundation in that. And I know some of you can feel it just by the statement itself, by listening to it, that that's not the answer. So if you feel something calling to you inside of you, deep down inside of you, or in your dreams or in your ear that you can't necessarily explain, you can reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to help you somehow. Okay? That's what our services are for. So I just want to also let everybody know that's in the room, we are doing a sound and energy healing circle tomorrow at 6:06 p.m. Mountain Time. It's just $22 for their donations. There's a $22 donation to get up in that space. You can fit up to 50 people in there. Invite your friends, your family, share this with anybody you think who would benefit from it. Because, balancing, stability, alignment, these are all important and key factors to our ability to see things clearly and actually make good decisions for ourselves and not end up in traps. Spiritual kung fu. You must learn you. That's literally what I heard. So with that being said, much love to each and every one of you. Stay humble, fam. Have a beautiful and blessed evening, and I look forward to hearing from some of you soon. So take care. See you. Peace.